Hello and welcome to the live reaction show. Stephen, you're shaking your head.
Yes.
We've never done one of these before, Trips. We've never done one of these
No.
before. Melly is, of course, recording the reaction podcast that everyone's used to, but I can already see by the comments, people joining us. There's something that we've called for a long time, Stephen. Back from the Ronnie Dyla days, we called it the extinction level event, and we said, should Celtic lose to Rangers or not make it through against Rangers in that cup game, that should be an extinction level event for everyone concerned. Key players in the team need to go. The manager needs to go. Probably boardroom level needs to go. We need a complete rethink of the way that we're approaching this. I just want to say off the bat, I feel heart sorry for Neil Lennon. I really, the guy has tried everything, and
It has.
one of the things that I'm seeing a lot is some people saying, now I don't mean to have a go at anyone if this is your opinion, I'm just, it's very raw and emotional at the moment, and it's quite annoying. People saying doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same results. That is absolutely not what's happening here. That's not what's happening. Neil Lennon is not trying the same thing over and over. Neil Lennon is doing absolutely everything he can to get a tune out of this team, and for whatever reason it's not working. It's just not working. And his post-match interview was a very difficult thing to watch, because I don't think Neil Lennon believed a single word of what he was saying, really. Neil Lennon's thinking to himself, and Alan Stubbs put it brilliantly, Neil Lennon's thinking to himself, if I hammer these players, I've lost them. If I go out and if I hammer these players, I've lost them. And everything he was doing was designed to keep the spirits up, keep the spirits up, keep the spirits up. That's what he's just trying to do. You just try to keep the camp positive and hope it'll click. But he's a dead duck. He's a dead duck, or a lame duck manager, as far as I'm concerned, isn't he, Stephen? Because no disrespect to Neil Lennon, no criticism to Neil Lennon, but those performances that we have seen over these last 9 games now, 10 games, 10 games,
10 now, yeah.
All season really, but these 10 games, it's just nowhere near good enough. No,
and 2 wins in 10 would be enough to get you the sack at Aberdeen. Never mind at Celtic. That's like if you were in a relegation team at the bottom of the English Premiership or something. If you failed to win 8 of your 10 games, you'd probably be sacked. Never mind at a club as dominant in a country as Celtic are. That today is the Cali Thistle moment. That's no one survives this. You cannot. It is impossible. I appreciate that Cali Thistle were back in 99-2000. They were in the league below.
Yeah.
But to all intents and purposes, it's the same thing. Celtic should have been miles in front of that team today. Ross County have struggled all season. They've not been in good form. Their manager has been a little bit tetchy because he probably feels under pressure as well.
Yeah.
And they went out and lost 2-0 at home. It's all very well saying 2 wins in 10 now, but what are we actually dealing with? We're dealing with a humiliating defeat in the derby, in which we had no shots on goal. Back-to-back 4-1 defeats against Sparta Prague, drawn with Aberdeen, 3 each, and now being eliminated from the Cup for the first time in years to Ross County. That shouldn't need it. That is further context to an unforgivable and unsurvivable run of games for Celtic. That is shocking.
We know there's people at Celtic Park already. Fans have expressed their voice on social media. The fans have expressed their voice. Some fans have expressed their voice with a banner. Now the fans are expressing their voice, going up to Celtic Park to have a bit of a protest outside. Neil Lennon's out of ideas, and he needs taken out of the situation. Phase 2 of that, Celtic love to talk about phases. We're terrible at defending phases. The club are terrible at operating phases. Phase 2 of that's appointing somebody in that can do the job, and my thoughts on the guys that are in charge of that process. I just don't trust them. But it can't be any worse than what we've seen against Neil Lennon. The game specifically today, again, but on the preview show, I turned some of my fury onto the players. And they deserve it. They absolutely deserved it, and they deserve it again tonight. Some of the displays in that game, absolute shitebags. Absolute shitebags. El Hamid, point blank refusing to take that fullback on. He kept giving the ball and just taking the easy option every single time. And I'm thinking, you're an international fullback. That guy, that Ross County fullback, must be a £30,000 player. He'll be on about fucking £500 a week. the value and the recompense that you get is orders of magnitude bigger than that guy. Go and roast him, or at least try and roast him. Wasn't doing it. Odsonne Edouard, if it's not a perfect ball into his feet, a lot of the time Odsonne's not interested. Laxalt, okay, there's a lot of goodwill for Laxalt. We like him. He's all that sort of carry on. Wasn't he at it? And although I admit all of these problems go back to the manager, they all go back to the manager. That's what the manager's there for. Some of the individual player performances today were absolutely abysmal. Christopher Jullien switching off for the penalty.
It was dreadful.
The defence switching off for set pieces. Where the frick is their professional pride in this? Is this how they want to? If I was Neil Lennon, doesn't want to lose the players, and I'm not the Celtic manager, but I would sit down and I would say to them, "Is this how you want to lose this? Is this how you want to? Is this where you want 10 years of work to go? Is it if it, you know?" And it's all your careers, because if you let this Rangers team win this league, Christopher Ayer, you can forget about Milan, moves to Milan. Just forget about it, because you've been rotten this season. Edouard, I don't know where you thought you were going, but you're not going there. Ayeti, you're trying to get your career back on track. That's not happening. So it's not Ronnie Dyla situation where these players wait. You've got Stokes and Mulgrew and Commons waiting for the manager to get the sack because they think it'll all be fine. All their careers are on the line here, and what they want to do and how they want to progress.
I spoke very recently about how this season is seeing a lot of people involved with Celtic having their careers devalued in front of our faces, and I'm talking about management, I'm talking about players. All the players that we've linked with big moves away can, as you've just listed, they can forget that. Like, who is going to come in for these players of any level whatsoever? They're not daft. Odsonne Edouard, right, fine, will probably still get a good move, but the rest, I think Burnley have been linked to Ryan Christie and things like that.
He's gone in January. He wants to go. I wouldn't be surprised if he went in January. He wants to go.
Quite aside from the players, John Kennedy is someone who we've all spoken about glowingly in the past. We've heard all the reports coming out of Celtic Park that he's a world-class coach. I think Damien Duff described him as frightening in terms of his coaching, right? That may well be the case, but where does he go from this? Who's going to put him in a job? Who's going to put him in the hot seat in a management role after he's presiding over this? Because it can't just be Neil Lennon's fault.
No.
Neil Lennon, it gives me no pleasure to say this, will never get another decent job in football after this. That I don't believe he is on the way up in his management career, and that's sad to say. But I'm kind of done speaking about everything through the lens of, or through the prism of describing everyone as legends. Take that as read. Right? I'm sick of saying it now. Sick of saying, but Neil Lennon's a legend, so I don't like saying it. That doesn't matter at this stage. I said to you, the guys in the group chat, we were talking during the game and on the Discord and so on. I said, this team are bad. This is a bad team. Now, there are myriad reasons for that. There are myriad discussions to be had, which we've been having for weeks now. We could talk about all the circumstances, all the caveats, all the things that have gone wrong, all the hard luck stories. But what we are left with, the net result, is that this is a bad football team.
Terrible.
A bad team who don't win games. Are they as bad as they're shown on paper? No, certainly not. But that doesn't matter. That this is garbage. They can't win games, and this has finally come and bitten us with Ross County.
You've just hit the nail on the head there, Stephen. Right?
Yeah.
Sorry to talk over you, but you've hit the nail on the head. See, for all the other talk and all the other discussions and all the other excuses and this and that and defending set pieces and minutiae. See, at the end of the day, you're not winning games of football. That's it. At the end of the day, you're not winning these games, and it comes to a point where Neil Lennon must think, and these players must think, we must not lose. Before the game, I tweeted out, just fucking win, and people go, no, that's not enough. People are sort of tweeting back, that's not enough. We want the good performance, we want this and we want that. At this, you're all missing the point. At this stage, it's just fucking win, and we cannot do it by hook or by crook. We couldn't even take Ross County to extra time.
No, we couldn't. See a thing on what you were saying about the players as well, and their professional pride and all that sort of stuff, right? It's very infuriating. Now, see, I've had my various problems this week, my various issues with what Celtic are saying, with what Celtic are expecting us to put up with all the bullshit we're expected to, the giant shit baguette we've just expected to take bite after bite out of this week, right? The bollocks they've been talking.
You want to bring back the Ronnie Dyla corned beef shit baguette analogy?
The corned beef jobby baguette, yeah. Of course,
not a lot of people will have heard that, because that was early podcast days. Yeah.
What was it? Yeah, we're basically we're eating into a baguette, and the first 6 bites have all been shite. So we can either throw it away or turn it around and hopefully there's corned beef at the end of it.
Yes.
Or it's going to be more shite and we can just throw it all away altogether. Something along those lines.
It was a lot
but
more
what I mean
succinct and clearer than that, but you get the point.
Yeah. One of the greatest hits of probably the first season of the podcast. But what I mean is, what I took away from it is that I have an issue with Neil Lennon's constant deflecting. He keeps talking about, and I wanted to talk about this in the Monday night podcast as well, because it's the journey we've all been on as the Celtic fans this week. He keeps talking about outside noises affecting everything, which is, to me, that is dog whistling to it's all the media's fault brigade, because they'll hear outside noises and they'll be like, oh, wait a minute, it's the media that's affecting everything. It's no us that are criticising the players. And then Neil Lennon will do exactly that. He'll criticise the players. So I had a problem with that. We're constantly talking about the players know they're better than this. They know they can play better than this. They know they'll turn it around in form. And it's all they talking about the players. But the players can either deal with that one of two ways. They can accept that and just drag everyone down with them. Like, we'll go out and prove Neil Lennon right, and we'll all just go down in a burning, like a blaze of glory. We'll all just torpedo our own careers. Or they can prove him wrong and go out and actually show something. That Gaffer, he's going to get sacked soon. He's talking piss. Look, we'll go out and show how good a player we are. But they've not even managed to do that, and it's just utterly gutless, utterly spineless performance from that today. It's not even as if Neil Lennon described having peppered the Ross County goal.
Yeah.
Did they?
No, he didn't, because I've got the stats here. He says Barkas didn't have a save to make and we peppered the Ross County goal. Celtic had 14 shots, 4 of which hit the target, and obviously these aren't from Y-Scout. We don't have those yet. Those are just up on Google. The Google stats, whoever provides those, whatever. Ross County had 6 shots on target. So Ross County had more shots on target than Celtic, despite the fact that we didn't pepper their goal. And it all comes back to Ross County obviously made themselves very, very difficult to play against, right? But the 2 goals we lost, Neil Lennon said it after the game, this is the only thing I agreed with him with. He says, what does he say? Set pieces and penalties. I think that's our 7th penalty we've conceded this season. And it's just stupidity. Christopher Julian, right? Christopher Julian comes back, right? Comes back, having lost his place to Shane Duffy. He must have been watching Shane Duffy going, I'm raring to get back because this guy's pish and I'm going to get my spot back. And the minute I get my spot back, I'm not losing it because he's rotten. And then he comes in and he's been shite since he walked in, since he got back in the team. Now I'm like, wait, why are you not trying to impress the manager? Why are you not saying here, I need to impress? There's a central defence spot for me. I'm going to take it back and no one's getting it off me. Might as well get back to Shane Duffy.
Aye, and forget the manager. Do it for yourself. Do it for the fan, or forget the fans. You don't even need to do it for the fans. Do it for yourself. Do it for your dad. Chris Julian joined. Go and impress in some way or other. It's again, we spoke about this before the game in the preview show with regards to Barkas versus Bain. And I thought, right, well, I'm kind of done wishing for other guys to come back into the team, because what's going to happen is someone's going to come back into the team and he's just going to be as terrible as the previous guy, such as the way Celtic are going just now. Yeah. There isn't a single player in the squad who is in form. Christie, maybe. Christie has been all right above in an absolute sea of excreta around him. But other than that, I spent too long talking about Ryan Christie there, because that's too long, that more than he deserves in terms of his form. I thought he's been okay, but there's no one left to turn to. If anyone is talking about like, well, we need to get Griff back into the team because that's basically the only thing left, we're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. If anyone thinks that this team, or anyone still thinks that this team are only just minutes away from clicking into gear and going on a run, as Lennon keeps talking about, there's no evidence to suggest that we can't go on a run. Firstly, that's not how evidence works. The lack of evidence doesn't suggest that is in any way possible. If anyone thinks that they're going to go on a streaking run, rescue this season, catch up on Rangers, we're out of the Cup now, out of Europe, all in the space of 10 games, they are absolutely mental thinking that. And good on you if you still retain that level of positivity. I envy you, but I'm afraid it's absolute delusional at this point. It's not coming.
It's gotten so bad that I'm thinking to myself, we just need to put Frimpong back in the team, because at least Frimpong was trying to take guys on. Frimpong would get into positions and his delivery would be rotten. Elhaman's not even getting into positions. And
No.
today was an exercise in frustration. If Ross County are going to be difficult to beat, and they were very difficult to beat, it's going to be difficult to score a hatful of goals or any goals against a team who defend with a bank of 5 and a bank of 4. That's just a fact. You need to pass quickly, you need to pass from side to side, and you need people to have balls and be brave on the ball, and Celtic lacked all of those things. But I just keep looking at the defence, and the defence should be thinking to themselves, we're going to have a hell of a time today scoring, so I need to make sure I'm on my job, because if that lot score, it's going to be a tough afternoon for us. And we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But the players will, if you had that conversation with the players would turn around to you and say, well, hold on a minute, I'm trying my best, but this is a problem, that's a problem, this is a problem. When the corner came in, Celtic are outnumbered at the back post. So,
yeah,
is that Neil Lennon's fault or is that the player's fault? Because to me, a lot of people point to that and go, that's the manager's fault. Setting your team up and they're outnumbered at the back post, right? However, if you're outnumbered at the back post, surely to fuck, you don't just stand there going, 5 guys behind me here.
Aye, the manager didn't tell me how to do this.
The manager, you know what I mean? It takes somebody to go, right, well, why don't we do a bit of gumption? Or I'm going to try and win the ball. So there's this weird sort of conversation about who's to blame. Is it the manager or the players? And I think now, at the start, it was definitely the manager. But I'm looking at this now going, it's definitely the manager, but also the players cannot get away scot-free anymore because they're making in-game mistakes that are inexcusable. And completely inexcusable.
Again, what we said earlier, net result is none of these things matter because we've got a bad football team on our hands. That's the long and short of it. This is a team that's bad at football just now, and change has to happen. And how you change, we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. Where you begin to change is from the top down. You can't go sacking 25 players. So what we do is we try and change that. I'm well aware that, see if we dump Neil Lennon, see if we sack him tomorrow, I'm well aware that nothing might change, but it sure as shit isn't going to change if we just keep the status quo just now. Well, I'm afraid that's
no. Wesley Shearers said, I'm genuinely concerned that Neil Lennon's post-match interview signals that the board continue to back him. This is all the act. I think now, Wesley, I think this is the act now. I think the act is keep up appearances, keep up positivity, don't let any cracks in the armour be shown to the players, because the minute the players maybe smell, if Neil Lennon loses the players either by going too hard on them or by looking like a lame duck manager, then the game's a bogey anyway. So I don't think we'll ever see any cracks in that united front between the board and the manager. I just don't think we'll ever see it, because I think what we've got here is a bunch of players looking now for any excuse to throw the towel in.
No, I definitely. And the way, how we feel about, like, when it comes to sympathy for Neil Lennon, right? Yes, I do. I do have a lot of sympathy for him, but it's fast running out, to be honest, because we can't concern ourselves with these things. I've had a terrible week with it. I don't mean to, this isn't a cry for help, I just mean in terms of my relationship with Celtic. It's been a tough week because I came away after Sunday, after Hibs. I thought, right, this is terrible. I can't see it changing, but we just need to put up with it. It's like one of those pointless, annoying tweets you see. Well, shut up. He's not going anywhere, so back the manager, whatever. That's not really how it works. You know what I mean? You don't really, like, if someone, say for example, you're a Sky customer and your dish is knackered and you phone up Sky and Sky are like, no, we're not going to come out and fix it. Well, right, okay, what I need to do is just get behind my Sky dish. If no one's going to fix it, I just need to back it. I need to support it. No, that's not really how it works. I'm allowed to keep complaining about something I don't believe in.
Well, you use the technology analogy there, and just it's one thing that Sean Atkins is turn on. It's very, very apt. He says when you're doing fault testing, you need to eliminate every variable. You try a new memory stick, try a new power supply. So we've changed the formation, we've changed the personnel, we've changed the roles. He says the only thing left to change is Neil Lennon.
Aye, the hard drive needs to go. Where I was going with that is that after Sunday, after Hibs was terrible, but we got to Sparta Prague, and I thought, that's it, it's over. How can you possibly survive that level of humiliation against Sparta Prague? A second 4-1 defeat. And I went to my bed feeling bad about it. I felt like the analogy I used with you and Melly was that, that way if you're driving and someone does something arseholeish to you, either cuts out in front of you or whatever, like we've all been there, like someone who really annoys you, and because of the fright, your blood's up and you start fucking abusing them. You're fucking idiot. Waving your hands, and just at that second, they go, oh, sorry. They apologise, and you're like, oh, well, I got what I wanted, but I feel terrible about it. That's not how I wanted this to happen.
That's not how it happens when I get involved in road rage, incidentally. But carry
No.
on.
Well, I mean, why I'm saying this is because I wanted Neil Lennon to go, but I feel bad about it. It doesn't feel good.
No,
I
it
got
doesn't
what I
feel
wanted,
good.
but it doesn't feel good.
It-
And it was never going to. But what happened was when I got up the next day, it was clear that they weren't going to do anything about it. And I just went back to being angry again. I just went back to being angry because we got all the bullshit about how he's the man for it. He knows all the. I'm not going to wheel out all the old cliches. And the players are this, the media is that. And I just got angry again. And now we sit here having lost to Ross County at home.
Neil
in the
Lennon,
cup.
another loss to Ross County for Neil Lennon. That the first one
Oh,
wasn't the first one wasn't particularly defining in his managerial career. In fact, the board managed to see beyond that and continue to give him some employment. It looks like the board are going to see beyond that at the moment. Here's the worry I've got about this situation. So where are we just now? We're the 30th of November, right? Basically the end of November. We play the Huns in January, so 5 weeks? So
Yeah.
the position I feel that we're in just now, and I'm sorry if this is going to depress everybody, but here's how I see it going. Take today as day one, right? The board are thinking, it's fine, Neil can sort this, right? Or last week, whenever. They're thinking Neil can sort this. We travel on a couple of weeks and we still get some bad results. And then the board start to think, at that point, maybe he can't sort it. So maybe today, maybe last week when they came out and backed him, they thought he can sort it. Another week passes, another couple of bad results. Maybe today they're thinking, okay, maybe he's not the man to sort it. Maybe we need to put the feelers out, right? So they put the feelers out, they make a couple of calls. That process might take 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe, to see who's maybe interested. 3 weeks passes and the results just keep getting worse. So it's getting worse and worse and worse. They think, right, we need to do more than put the feelers out. We have to actively find a replacement for Neil Lennon because we don't think he can salvage this. How long does that process take? Another 3 weeks? By that time we could have lost. By that time we're lost to the Huns. The league's over anyway.
Aye. Season's gone, yeah.
Season's gone anyway.
They're out of every competition, aye.
They're out of every competition. Season's gone. And what you're left with, well, they're not going to sack Neil Lennon. They're just going to say he's leaving at the end of the season. That's what's going to happen. So I really, really do not think we're going to see a scenario unfold here where Neil Lennon gets sacked, because the board will take a view on it. The amount of time it takes to get as a replacement, we might as well just keep him. I have no confidence in the board to do it. None whatsoever. Do you?
What I said none. I know. I realise I've just been saying a lot of stuff, knowing full well that it's in the board's hands. A bunch of men who I have no faith in whatsoever. A bunch of fat, sweaty, old, complacent fat cats sitting there with our cushy numbers at Celtic, no wishing to rock the boat in case anyone discovers them. How can he possibly survive this? And one thing I said, the thing I said on Monday night was that one thing I will draw the line at, one thing I fail to tolerate is being treated like a dick. I don't mind like the usual faff that comes with being a football fan rather, but I won't be taken for a mug. And that's exactly how I felt this week with all the pish that they've been talking, the Zoom call, we're all united, we're all this, we're all that.
It's all designed to protect Neil Lennon. That's all that is. It's all designed to protect him and his reputation with the players, I think.
I think so. I'd love to know what the players are thinking of this as well, but as we've been discussing, no way they get away with this either. The team they put out today didn't have a problem with it. It was
good team.
I thought it was odd, given that Neil Lennon had very recently spoken of the lack of opportunity he's had for consistency of lineup. I thought it was odd to completely change the formation based on that, but I didn't have an issue with it past maybe leaving Scott Brown out, because I think he's at the end of his career and shouldn't be playing every week. But it looked good on paper. It's just that what we're left with, once again, is that this team is not good. It's not good. No. And it doesn't seem to matter what they do, what the personnel is. We spoke very recently. Melly was very positive. Remember, there was maybe 2 or 3 Monday night podcasts ago. He odds Cam on his own, talked about all these players coming back.
Absolute mug.
He's sacked. He's sacked from the
That's
podcast,
why Melly's not on this. He's sacked. He's sacked for being positive 6 weeks ago.
It's only James Forrest that's left now. Is he going to come in and rescue us all? I can't see it because we've got Edward back, we've got Christie in, we've got El Yunusi, who didn't start today, we've got Ncham. All these guys are available. It's just we can't get them to win a football game.
Let's talk about the game a wee bit. Obviously, Melly's doing the reaction podcast, and there'll be a bit of focus on the game. But let's talk about the game. It was more of the same from Celtic. It was a bit unimaginative. Again, repeat myself, but players refusing to take responsibility. Scott Brown's role in the team came under focus, and it's starting to become a question of if there's no one that can take that position off him, then maybe they also need to have a look at themselves. You see all the pieces in front of you, Stephen. You see all the players available to Celtic. You know by now their strengths and their weaknesses. If you could answer this question, Stephen, you'd be on the bunts that Neil Lennon's on, right? But you're looking at that game today. What would you change?
No thanks, I'm making shitloads out of podcasting.
No thanks, I'm making shitloads out of podcasting.
What would I change? I don't know. I don't know. I remember I was on a very recent reaction with Melly, and he talked to me about formation. He said, "Do you think we changed a lot after we went to 3-5-2?" And I was so broken at that point. I was like, "Mate, don't know." I find it hard to describe the game itself. What I would have changed is possibly not completely losing faith with what they were playing with, not changing formation again, and just maybe trying to settle in ever so slightly. I don't know really what prompted that today, other than trying to get a Yeti and Edward into the team together, which I'm not against.
No, we thought that would be a good partnership, but we did have concerns about how well the partnership had played together in the past, and they showed today, I think, that they'd really not done a lot of that playing together. We spoke on the Monday podcast last week. We put some focus on Ryan Christie and the amount of wasteful shots he was taking. I noticed today that Ryan Christie wasn't up to his usual shootingist self.
No.
Which was a cause for concern for me, because it definitely got to the point in the game where we were struggling to break them down, and I was thinking to myself, you need to start shooting, Ryan.
I know. Can I just shock you? I like you shooting from everywhere, despite what I said earlier. Yeah. Is that what we're saying to Ryan Christie?
Basically, aye.
Yeah, there comes a time when it's kind of like we joked about with what was it Melly said, only shoot when it's on, or something like that. On the last preview, I'm sure he said only shoot when there's a shot on. So
yes.
I think there's a balance to be struck between shooting 8 times a game and picking your moments and maybe trying a pot shot when we're completely out of ideas, which we were today. Tom Rogic as well. I mean, with a much ballyhooed return of Tom Rogic, it just disappeared again, and I don't know. This is where I do sympathise with Neil Lennon. I just don't know what else there is to change other than him, because they've tried absolutely everything, and I don't know where to go with these players now. The surgery has been done.
Do you think maybe they need to this? And this is what it comes down to. There's things baked into Neil Lennon. Like we spoke about this on the latest tactics board. There's things baked into Neil Lennon, the way he wants to play. He wants his fullbacks to attack. He wants everyone to go forward. He wants constant aggression. Right? That's what he wants. Maybe in some of these games we just need to be a wee bit more considered in our play. The attacking fullbacks thing isn't working. It's just not working. So maybe we need to ditch that. But the problem is, I think that's the way Neil Lennon wants to play, and it's baked in. So he can't ditch that. But one thing that really, really needs to change, especially against players like this, teams like Ross County, is the speed of passing is far too slow. The first half was too slow. Shocking for that.
Well, where I will give them credit, see, at half time we all started talking about how this is the Kilmarnock moment, this is the big team talk that rescues the season, rescues jobs. This is this moment, so let's see how they approach the second half. I actually thought it was different towards the beginning of the second half. Everything was a lot quicker. They were moving very quickly. Everything looked very urgent and aggressive and a lot faster. But then what you're left with is we've got all this quick, aggressive, slick passing. Then you get to the box and then you're like, oh, that's right. We can't get through this. We were just passing it about right in front of the Ross County defence again, and we can't find a way through it. So after that realisation sunk in, it was just back to more of the same.
But it's
once they realised that there was no
static sometimes as well. Like when they goes out to the wing, you're looking at Edward planted, Ayeti planted, Ryan Christie planted, Rogic planted, and they just want it in at feet, and they want all this intricate pass, and I'm just getting infuriated. And I know it doesn't make for good podcasting, but you watch this and you think the only person that can change this is the manager, but it's obviously baked in. He cannot change what's going on. I'm just seeing texts and tweets now, Stephen. More people are gathering outside Celtic Park. I don't know where the board go for here with this. I really don't know where they go from here. Any fears or any hopes that they had rather of keeping things, tempering the anger a wee bit, tempering the expectation, telling everyone it's all right, we'll get through this. I think Neil Lennon thinks if he doesn't get too high or too low, if he just keeps the players coddled, keeps the positivity up in the camp, he thinks all this will blow over because they're good players and it worked before. But with fans outside the stadium, it's getting very, very close to crunch time for the board now. Surely this can't be ignored. I know from the fans' point of view, crunch time has came and gone. We need a change of manager. From the board's point of view now, because they'll be watching that game today. Peter Law was in the stand. He'll be watching that game today going, that is the fucking last thing I needed.
This is the one thing we didn't want to happen, but from Brass Eye all those years ago.
Yes.
Can't ignore the fans at the stadium. And I know I've seen the pictures, it looks like a few dozen, but we're now half an hour on from that. It's going to be more and more, because once that starts circulating on social media, people will think, all right, well, I'm not the first one that's going to be there. I'm going to go in and join in on that. So there's going to be more and more.
Yeah.
The one saving grace I would say the board and the manager and the players had is that fans haven't been at the stadium, and we can debate back and forward about the effect that has on the performances, whether because we're not there to roar them on and all that kind of thing. But with what we've been seeing this season, that wouldn't have been happening. You're not pulling the wool over my eyes. I've been to Celtic Park plenty. If they're not playing well, it's not a good place to play. We're not the most forgiving of fan bases. If it's 75 minutes in and we're struggling to break teams down, or tense, especially this season. So the only reason I reckon they're all still in their positions right now is because nobody was there at Sparta Prague to absolutely boo them off the park. And people will probably hear me saying that and say, nah, we're above that, we don't do that. I don't believe that for a single second. There would have been deafening boos after that game, and probably the same again today, because it's completely unforgivable. And I don't blame anyone for making their voices heard and for voting with their feet and turning up to a protest.
No,
I don't blame anyone for that.
Absolutely
It's
not.
the only thing they've got left. It's the only thing we've got left. We spoke about this on a recent preview as well, where I don't have a problem with the Green Brigade or the North Curves banner, because it's the only outlet anyone has. We don't
100%.
have chants in the stadium. We're not allowed in. So what do you want us to do? Just keep sending angry tweets? Because look at any tweet Celtic put out just now. It is a deluge of Lennon out, has he been sacked yet, why is Brown playing, all that. It's constant, and that's not working. So the only thing left is to march up there to their work and tell them about it.
Stephen, I think it's time we wrap up this live reaction show. I'm just going to give us a final thoughts, turn to the viewers. If you want to put any final thoughts in the comments, let us know. I'll get them up on the screen. We'll address them just before we wrap up. Celtic are facing Milan in a game that's surely about to result in defeat. I don't see how Celtic get any result out of that game whatsoever. Between now and that game at Milan, do you expect to see Neil Lennon in the dugout?
No, it can't be. I think if he is, people are just going to get angrier and angrier, and it's not going to solve anything. There is no more kicking this can down the street. We're kicking it against a wall now. We've kicked it all the way down the street, and we're kicking it off somebody's front door, to follow that analogy out. There is nowhere else to go. I have been joking recently that I think Laurel and Desmond are basically just hoping to get into an easy run of fixtures so that we can cover everything up. I see, we're all fine. What were you worried about? We're humping Ross County, 100%. We're humping St Johnstone. But that was it today. It started today.
It wasn't just them, though, was it, mate? Because our worry, the fans' worry was, all right, well, it's going so crap, but you know what? He's going to have Sparta and Ross County, a couple of gimmies, and then they'll use that to paper over the cracks. They don't even have any wallpaper to paper over the cracks anymore. They thought they would paper over the cracks. They turned up and they didn't have any wallpaper paste to do it.
That's it. I'm going to say something pretty terrible here. I'm going to say something I never thought I'd say, like on a broadcast of ours, but there is a certain part of me that today didn't enjoy that, and I didn't want Celtic to lose, never do. But there's 20% of me now that's relieved that Celtic lost that, because it is unignorable. Like, you can't ignore that now. It is the final nail, and we will find out exactly what the board and everyone involved in the club are made of following that result.
Well,
It's
Neil
it's
Lennon
not
has
it's not
just come
nice.
out with a very interesting comment, Stephen, just a minute.
Yeah,
Breaking news here.
breaking news.
Yeah, Neil Lennon has said, I think I should get more time at it, but if not...
Oh, Jesus.
No, crucial... You interrupted a crucial moment there,
Sorry.
Stephen. Neil Lennon said, I think I should get more time at it, but if not, then so be it. So I think that's as
Right.
close to an admission of defeat as you can probably get from a Celtic manager. That's look, it gives us no pleasure in doing this, absolutely none. I love Neil Lennon, absolute Celtic legend, but you called it, Stephen, and I think this is where I'll wrap up. At the beginning of the season, you had many reservations about Neil Lennon being the Celtic manager, not just for his managerial qualities and his CV, but also the circus that followed Neil Lennon around and what happens when things go against him, and you rang the warning bell of appointing club legends, because if things don't go well, this is exactly how it pans out, and this is how it pans out. This would be a lot easier if this was, I don't know, pick somebody with no allegiance to the club. If Steve Clarke got if Steve Clarke and some alternative universe got the Celtic job, and we were sitting here now, there would be no discussion at all about Steve Clarke getting the sack.
Weeks ago,
there wouldn't be no consideration. He would be gone, and Neil Lennon would be in the job. Right? So that's it. But yeah, Neil Lennon's comments tonight. I think I should get more time at it, but if not, then so be it. And on that, we shall wrap up this live reaction show. We've never done this before, but things are so bad that it was absolutely required. We needed to get to the cameras, get to the mics. Thank you everyone for joining us on this. As things progress, I dare say, Stephen, if things progress and things start to get a bit more drastic and there's any large changes, should we be available to do it, we will definitely hop on and do more of this throughout the current weeks.
Other official reactions still to come, of course. Melly and Ryan are currently spewing their guts out onto the actual match reaction, so I'm looking forward to that as well. So nothing changes. We just found ourselves running about, buzzing about the place, getting all het up, so we thought we may as well jump on and talk to the old all-in tier.
Yes, thanks to absolutely everyone who signed up, especially. We saw a bunch of people sign up, especially to join us on this. Please stick around. We do live preview shows before every single Celtic game. More of this, except Melly's on it. He's got like a wee tactics board and stuff. It's absolutely terrific.
Yeah.
You would really enjoy it. But also thanks to everyone who supports us. Thanks to everyone who put the comments and questions and all that in. We hope you enjoyed it. This was peer pressure. Kieran Hoy says, thanks boys, needed this, worth doing. Thanks very much guys, and we'll speak to you very, very soon. Just before we wind up, reaction podcast coming, flagship podcast coming, and we'll be back from Milan. Speak to you soon.